I'd like to start with a little story, that it's always good to start with a story, isn't it? And this is a story of, it was a very, there was a, he was a great teacher, and he was approaching the sort of the golden years of his teaching experience. And he had many followers, and they were sitting around him, and they said, "Look, great teacher, tell us, tell us your story. Tell us how you started and where you are now." And the great teacher sat there with his big long white beard. Of course, they all got long white beards, and even the ladies. And so he had a long white beard, and he said, "When I was a young man, I said to God, I said, God, give me power, give me strength, and I will change the world. When I reached middle age, I realized I hadn't changed the world, and I hadn't really done the things I wanted to do. But I said to God, I said, look, God, okay, God, give me power, give me strength to change everybody around me. They all really need help, and I can change them. Give me power, God." And now, said the great teacher, in my old age, my prayer to God is very simple. Just give me strength and power, at least to change myself. So it's a kind of an opposite story, isn't it? That everyone desires to change. We want change. We want to change others. We have this kind of intrinsic part of our nature to experience some form of change in our world, in our relationships, in our connection with others. But of course, whatever happens is it becomes a question of why isn't it happening? What goes on? And it's actually through meditation that we gain the key. We start to understand how change can come about. Raj Yoga meditation, which we're going to be talking about really now, is about stepping back into our inner world, isn't it? So much of our ventures, so much of our kind of experiences are externalized. Because of the programming and because of the consciousness of our materialistic consumerist world, that our consciousness has been externalized. And so everything that we try to do is outside ourselves. And so meditation is about stepping into our inner world, emerging and experiencing our original and very powerful qualities of peace and love and deep awareness, because intrinsically, these are the basis of all our experiences. Why we want so many things, material things, prestige, status, and so on, because we believe they may be the avenue to experience peace, love, and deep awareness, even though outwardly we're not overtly aware of it. It's interesting that in our title of our meditation teaching, we have the word yoga. And of course, yoga has many connotations. Of course, for many, it means exercise, using the body in different forms. But also it means connection. And it's not only connecting or reconnecting with our original nature, but it's about connecting with the nature and understanding of with others, with our world, and with the Supreme Soul. So bringing about change and transformation, becoming light, refreshed, and loving. And so in the following weeks that we'll be exploring and experimenting and experiencing with these inner energies, with these spiritual energies, with spiritual awareness, so that we can experience this great power in that particular way. So what we're going to do, we'll start now, I feel, with some reflections. I'm just going to switch now, if I can, with my slides, a little bit of fiddling. If I can bring that up. Okay. There we are. Okay. So, meditation, as we've been saying, is taking us from externalization. It's taking us from the external world into the inner world of silence. And it's giving our mind and body a very deep level of rest and relaxation. And of course, rest is so important for us at this particular moment, because through rest, the body begins to heal itself. And we do this by throwing off the stress, the fatigue, the toxins that have been accumulated during our daily life. And also in this inner silence that we are exploring, our mind can then let go of all the negative thought patterns of worry, anxiety, and then we can begin to engage with great peace and lightness and experience the natural nature of the spiritual self. So, first of all, we need to relax our mind. People might feel this is quite strange, that, well, doesn't meditation relax your mind? Isn't the aim of meditation? But it's quite interesting that, first of all, we need to let go of the things that have been clutching up our mind, because these block us, these trap our consciousness, our thinking process that is the route way into experience. It's like trying to get into a house. We can't get in the door because we're carrying too much with us. We've got too many bags and we can't get inside. And so it's very important for our mind, first of all, to be receptive, to be relaxed. And so what we'll do now, just for a few moments, is release our mind, relax our mind. And so just sit comfortably, just sit in a very easy posture. And anywhere you feel there's tension, anywhere that you feel there's some kind of tightness, just loosen it, especially loosen your shoulders. This is where a lot of tension is held, is in our shoulders. Just often drop your shoulders, because we hunch up and we hold so much there. Just relax. Relax your body. Breathe gently. Relax your mind. Breathe deeply the thought of peace. Breathe in peace. Breathe out tension. Breathe in love. Breathe in the harmony of the natural worlds. And just for a moment, put aside any agendas, any pressing thoughts or concerns that you've built up within the kind of the computer of your mind, the things that you kind of feel that you need to do. Just put them aside. Just relax. Relax and smile. And we enter the garden of our mind. This very beautiful inner world, full of beauty, full of harmony, full of fragrance. Now feeling lighter, easier, step into this inner world of calm and peacefulness. And imagine you're walking by the seashore, walking on the warm golden sands. The sky above is clear and soft, and a yellow sun is gently warming your face. In front of you is a wide blue ocean. It's very beautiful and very still. And you feel the same. Calm, peaceful, and serene. This is a mirror, a reminder of your own inner state. And as you stand by the water's edge, we are drawn deep into the waves of peace, into the realms of silence. And moving to this inner dimension, everything begins to slow down. Thoughts become less. Your feelings and emotions begin to subside. And you are surrounded by silence, by peace. And there is just a feeling of calmness and well-being. Yet the question arises, what has happened? What has happened to our mind? What has happened to this peace? What has happened to the creative, intelligent, beautiful mind that has created worlds of beauty, of an architecture, paintings, incredible structures, that's done such incredible things throughout the globe? And we know that for many, the mind has become very tired, very confused, peaceless, disillusioned, full of sorrow, and of course, unable to focus, unable to concentrate because of the constant battery, the constant invasion of fear, and constant invasion of the surrounding influence of our surrounding world. And today, it seems that everything we do, consciously or subconsciously, is about trying to return to this state of harmony that we experienced just a little bit earlier, isn't it? Everyone is trying to reach there, trying to get there in some way or other. But it's how we get there, and sometimes we take the wrong turning. We go down cul-de-sacs. We get deceived in our desperation, isn't it? That in order to return to that harmony, to that state of unique serenity, we adopt wrong attitudes, masks, costumes of greed and aggression and anger, thinking this may be the avenue, this may be the route way to get back to that because of the programming, because of the stuff that we've been fed. And we believe this is the religion of materialism and consumerism that tells you through this will bring this. And we all see in the adverts, isn't it? Happy, smiling faces. You've got the big car, you've got the big house. Everyone's happy. We want to live in these worlds, is in adverts, isn't it? The illusion of that. And of course, we fall then into this state of manipulation. This state of being deceived, falsehood, and eventually despair, because we try these things and nothing seems to work. And we become lost and we become trapped, isn't it? We become trapped in this particular way. And so we end up like our poor little chap here, isn't it? We find ourselves in a prison, in a box, a prison of imposed and self-imposed attitudes and beliefs. And we can see it imprisoned by past issues, memories, isn't it, that we're constantly regurgitating old memory. Feelings, these anchor us. That what might happen, what should happen, and so on. And it creates resentment and anger. And we're trapped by our fears of not achieving, fear of failing, fears of all the kind of false phantoms that the world creates, that this might happen if you don't do this, and so on. And so we live in a constant, isn't it? Probably you might agree with me that we live in a constant state of imposed fear. The world seems to be the main malaise at this present moment, isn't it? All the COVID stuff and all the rest of it, and so many other things that create people in constant fear of the unknown, or of a possible horrible tomorrow. Then there's the blocks of our influences, so much influences affecting the spiritual mind, that influences we were mentioning of materialism and consumerism. These ideologies are now the main religions of our world, they become our truths, they become our guides, they become our gods. And so we follow them blindly, as we did with all religions. We follow them. And so these are just the new religions that the conscious mind, or the unconscious mind, you could call it, follows it in that particular way. And so we find ourselves trapped, locked, programmed, unaware. And so we become like the poor little chap there in our box, that some of us are anesthetized into submission. You don't see any difference. This is what it is. This is what you hear, isn't it, Simon? This is what it is. So it's just this blind acceptance in that particular way. The spiritual light has gone. Some are desperate to escape, of course, shouting to God, to others, get me out, help me, solve the issue. Does it ring any bells? I think we've all been there, isn't it, in that way, trying somehow to break outside this prison. So the question is, isn't it, that spirituality tries to answer, that we try to find our way, is how can we free ourselves from these influences, from these constraints that we find ourselves in? A prison that has crippled us, and addicted us to their particular forms of control. And so the idea is we've got to find a solution. How can we escape in that question? This is the great quest, isn't it, of the spiritual mind in that way. So how can we escape? And so the question is, isn't it, that becoming trapped in our prison, what happens is, one of the results is I think it's worth spending a little bit of time just looking at this, that the individual, the soul loses its awareness of itself. I think this is the prime effect. This is the prime cause and effect of our prison, the influences of fears, identity, and so on in the past. And then we fall into this kind of sleep of spiritual amnesia or forgetfulness. There's there's a little story. It sums up this in a way. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a guy. He finds an eagle's egg, and so he doesn't know what to do with it. So as you would do, he put the eagle's egg with the chickens, and after a while, the eagle's had hatched, and so out comes the eagle, and it lives with the chickens, and so it started to live with the chickens, and it did everything that the chickens did. It scratched the ground, it flapped its wings, and did everything that chickens did. And after a while, the eagle, living with the chickens, looked up into the sky, and he said to one of the other chickens, says, "Look, who is that beautiful being high in the sky?" And one of the other chickens said, "Ah, that's the eagle. He's the king of the birds. His kingdom is of the sky. We're chickens, ours is of the earth." And so the poor old eagle lived and died as a chicken because that's who he thought he was. We are who we think we are. So we're the result of our programming, isn't it? Our limitation. We've been impregnated. We've been programmed by family, society, education, media, and so on and so, religion, all the different ideologies, into believing that we're a particular type of limited being. And so this is who we believe we are. We've accepted this particular aspect, and we've forgotten our own unique spirituality in that way, this unique identity. And so spirituality is really about simply this. It's really simply about remembering, or it teaches us, it gives us a kind of a solution to these issues. And sometimes because it's so simple that many people reject it, because we live in a so-called, sophisticated, technological, wonderful, scientific world where everything is so full of kind of uniqueness and cleverness and so on. But spirituality says, no, just step into silence. Just go into your inner world. Just let go inside. And then as you go inside, just let go. And this is one of the automatic effects, I think, of silence, as you do begin to let go. As you go deeper into silence, all the things that have been holding on to us, all the things we've been holding on to, suddenly we start to relinquish. They slip through our fingers. They haven't got a hold on us anymore. They can't stay within that dimensional energy field. And they suddenly start to slip away, and we start then to kind of free fall into this kind of silence, into this kind of unlimitedness, this vast cosmos of the inner world. And we begin to kind of connect, initially unknowingly, with our unique spiritual self, our unique inner spiritual world. And we begin then the journey into experience, the journey into being. Because this is what meditation is, isn't it? It's this journey into being, into finding ourselves, into becoming free in that particular experience. So the question is then, how can we be free? I think it's okay many people can be voyeurs of this kind of experience. We can see it, or it's like you're watching and you can know it. There are many spiritually orientated people that have this awareness and they have this desire, but it's actually activating it and actually breaking free and experiencing this kind of inner reality. So what can we do? I'm going to suggest that we can do it through 3 steps, 3 particular steps that we can free ourselves from our prison, from our unknowing, from our limitation in that particular way. And these 3 steps are very simple. Okay. It's about visualizing, connecting, and releasing. So first, if you'd like to try it with me, should we have a go? I think most of you guys have followed this particular path, but it's interesting to follow it and to understand it. Visualize in front of you. Okay, just visualize. I think it's very important also to visualize, because sometimes we need to kind of have this mental image. It's like Aristotle said that you can't think without a mental image. You do need an image. And so maybe we need to kind of just hold that image of light, have this image of a beautiful light in front of you. Connect with it. Connect with this light energy. Okay, then immediately as you connect with it, release it. Just imagine it just releasing like an explosion of pure white light energy, just exploding very gently, very beautifully, flowing through you, around you, completely filling you. Your body is full of light. It's not a physical body, it is a light body, full of that beautiful white light energy. Just hold that, just feel that. And what's happening in this way, it's breaking down the walls of our prison. Because as you're in that state, you're in the moment, you're in that state of being. You're connected with your own spiritual, unique nature. This light, pure consciousness. And this is automatically, it's dispersing the fears, the influences, the needs, the anxiety, all these little kind of periphery things that have been kind of hanging on to us, that have been clawing at us, that have been kind of holding in the back of in the cave of the mind, but they just immediately dispersed. We just send them away. They're gone in that particular way. So in a way, so just hold this, fix it in your mind. So look, there's a little affirmation we have below there. You can see on the screen there. And an affirmation is quite interesting. We'll look at them a bit later because I think they're very powerful and very important. Affirmations are really unique, essential spiritual statements that the subconscious mind can adapt, can grasp, and it can understand, and it can break down and overcome the barriers that the subconscious often resurrects and creates to block any new awareness. Often a subconscious holds kind of barriers and blocks that before we created to protect us, but the issues have gone, and so the blocks are still there, inhibitions and fears and anxieties. But where do these come from? They're just remnants from our past that we carry within our subconscious nature. But spiritual awareness, spiritual experience disperses these. And so this light energy immediately brings change. This kind of radiance will bring change, power, and awareness in that particular way. So should we just try, just to reiterate that? So just to visualize that beautiful light, connect with it, and then release that light. Just see it in your mind. Just feel that light energy, or just a body of light pulsing through you. You are light. As the affirmation says, I am this light. I experience this light. I become this light. And so what we're doing is we're telling our inner mind, this is who we are. So meditation is about re-educating. It's reprogramming our awareness. I am this light. So we're talking to ourselves. I am this. You're not all the things that you've been programmed before. You were silly, you were stupid, you're a man, you were big, small. These were the kind of the programs that we accepted. Now we're reprogramming. This is a new program, a spiritual program based upon truth. And so we experience this. I experience it. I become it. We hold it. I become this. I just feel that light. Just hold it. This is the destination of spiritual awareness. Becoming who you are. Hold this energy. Hold it in that particular way. It's very simple, isn't it? Very easy. Often it's quite good. I'm just thinking about sometimes to clarify it for ourselves, because understanding is the key to experience. The more we can understand what is happening within ourselves, the more we can understand the mechanisms of consciousness, the more we then will gain the experience. It's like when you understand it, you know it, and then you let go of that. You don't need to hold that. But first of all, you do need to kind of grasp how and why things are. And I've got a little example here. Here we are, pineapple. Is it? Oh, it's an orange. And we can compare this. I like this analogy. I like this example, actually, because it's an incredible teaching tool. You know, that it's a tool that actually clarifies what consciousness is. You know, that an orange, we can see here, it's got two parts, hasn't it? It's got the outer and in the inner, right? The outer is tasteless, it's bitter, it's not much goodness there, is it? You know, in that particular way. It's very colorful, it's very bright, isn't it? The outside. And inside, though, inside is the fruit. Inside it's juicy, full of goodness, a lot of vitamins and so on. And it's a bit like our world, the orange, you know, it's a bit like consciousness, you know. Things outside, isn't it, seem bright, seem colorful, seem full of, oh, it's wonderful, it's bright, go downtown, it's all, that's great, the adverts, TV, films, But there's very little content. There's no goodness there. And it's like most people are living on the periphery of experience, living outside. Very little return. There's not much there. To gain the return, you have to go inside. So this is the message of meditation. Go inside and you will experience the beauty. You will experience your harmony. You'll experience your serenity. You'll experience your goodness. Everything that you've been looking for is inside, not outside in that particular way. So this is the message, isn't it? This is introversion. This is spirituality in that particular way. I thought this might be interesting to look at in that particular way, to look at how meditation works and to kind of understand it, you know, that and how it works. Because I think when you understand the benefits of what you're engaged in, then you give it more respect, doesn't it? You begin to realize this is an incredible tool. This is an incredibly powerful energy that we're connecting with. And this will do the things that we've always been wanting to do, the things we need to do, the thing the world's want us to do. We have to be this. And so I thought this is a very simple little diagram, little kind of root way in that particular way. And it shows you, like we can see there, that initially with meditation, and meditation is like this, we ignite, you know, like in earlier, that experiment we had earlier, we ignite this light, we ignite this kind of fusion of spiritual energy. We emerge the experience that is within ourselves. We emerge it. And as it emerges, it's like a Kundalini energy. It emerges, and as it emerges, all our dormant spiritual qualities begin to come to the fore. Our virtues become activated. The virtues that we have and look for, that sometimes we see occasionally, we notice, we desire, and so on, but kind of like they slip away. But now they're not slipping away. We're bringing them into our waking awareness. We're bringing into our active relationships and consciousness. And as this pure energy emerges, it also, quite interestingly, empowers everything that we have within our consciousness that's positive, all the learning skills, everything that you've learned from your parents, school, college, and so on. It empowers, it spiritualizes them. So it changes the formatting. things that were kind of there, but now we can use them in a kind of meaningful, in an effective, in a way that brings benefit to ourselves and to others. Maybe before it gave sorrow, the opposite. But now we change the patterning of it. Meditation is repatterning, reprogramming our awareness. And it's interesting to look at how it integrates into our daily life. You can see the 4 R's. And the 4 R's are the kind of, it's the sort of main things we have to deal with, generally in a general sense, like when you think about relationships, now, how difficult relationships are today, isn't it? I don't need to tell you guys, it's kind of a minefield. All these are minefields, aren't they? How dealing with them. But now, because our consciousness becomes light, easy, we become introverted, we move away from the ego of me and I-ness, which is the sword that causes so much kind of bloodshed in all the things we do. And it gives us the ability, isn't it, to appreciate now, because we step back and we can appreciate now and accept others, and a greater sense of empathy for their journey as well, for their things that they're going through. Because what you've gone, we know now, we begin to understand what they're going through, and so we're not so critical and not so demanding and so on. And you look at the routines, isn't it? Routines sometimes often become very onerous, boring, things we do constantly all the time, isn't it? You get fed up of it. We found boring and so on. Now we've got the ability to see maybe their significance. We begin to not feel it as onerous, but feel it now as something that is meaningful. And we've got the ability to transform it. And we've got the ability to maintain attention and focus and concentration. Whereas routines before, we tended to kind of like not give that kind of awareness to, isn't it, and so on. Things become easier. We can play and alter, and I can have more fun with things, and we have the ability to transform it and be more easy and adaptable. Responsibilities. We got now the power. Meditation gives you that kind of spiritual energy to fulfill your responsibilities. Often it's become so difficult, isn't it, to maintain and do the things we want to do, to maintain that attention and enjoy those tasks, and aware that they're a major part of our role, isn't it? Responsibility, the ability to respond in an effective, meaningful, and a sense that gives benefit to everybody and all around, aware. And our roles, of course. Now, meditation is an incredible thing, that before we did it, we did it from a basis of our limited physical self. We did things. Now, our spiritual self, our spiritual subtle self now, and the qualities and the powers that we mentioned in our diagram, they start to do the things for us. We can multitask. Our qualities and virtues are doing it for us and fulfill those roles in a very powerful way. And then we can give, the things we need to do. Roles, probably the most demanding thing, isn't it? Being a mother, a father, a friend, a co-worker and so on. When people themselves are so needy, going through such hell, going through, they're in their own, when you think about it, everyone is in their own box, of course. And so if they're in their own box, how can they give us anything? It's quite interesting is to reverse the psychology of it, that everyone is in their little box. How come, and everyone is wanting everybody else to give them what they want. They can't, because they're struggling. They're getting locked in their own particular little prison. But now, because we're liberated, our consciousness has been liberated, we can then begin to kind of help, support, understand, have greater empathy, understanding, acceptance, and possibly show others the key to release themselves. Maybe by seeing us, it's very difficult, I know, but maybe by seeing your own state of harmony and freedom, that they might suddenly decide that might be the way for them as well. And so meditation is this very powerful tool, isn't it? It's this very powerful way that we can kind of work for us in our lives. And so what's happening? You know, that the great philosopher Proust says, meditation enables us to see with new eyes. This is what's happening in meditation, isn't it? It's helping us to see with eyes of awareness, the eyes of creativity. It opens the famous third eye, the third eye of inner wisdom, the third eye of understanding, the third eye of knowing. It enables us to see depth. It helps us to see meaning now in things around us. We can then begin to appreciate. We begin not to go down certain avenues because we know that that's not the appropriate avenue. You kind of like psychically begin to become aware that of what's needed and the right way of things. We begin to create a new experience, a new ability, a new attitude to your life. You begin to understand your journey more clearly in that particular way. So what we're doing in meditation, isn't it? We're moving into the unlimited. You know, the limitation was the prison. We were trapped in our little box, and now we're breaking free into this unlimited freedom, and then we begin to see the bigger picture, the connectedness of all things in that particular way. And we can then begin to experience a greater sense of awareness and a greater sense of experience in that particular way. I'd like to maybe just look at a little bit, I mentioned a little bit affirmations as how we can hold on to these particular attitudes in that particular way, you know, that because this is the next step, isn't it? You know, that, okay, you might be saying, no, it's all right, it's okay, it was nice what you're saying, but how can I got to go out to work, I got to interact with a kind of very heavy kind of world around me, I deal with difficult people and so on and so on. And so the thing is, how can we hold and embed these experiences? You know, this awakened power. I think this is the great challenge as spiritual beings, as spiritual travelers. And I mean, such is the force, isn't it? Such is the strength of our illusory world. These experiences can be very quickly lost. You know, that you can go to a talk, or you can go to the spiritual centers, and you can sit there and you feel great, and you immediately you align with everything that's said and think, oh, this is the way. But the minute you go outside, such is the influence, such is the negative vibrational force that's outside, immediately it's swept away, and we find ourselves back in our little box. The same fears, the same worries, the same are there because it's all around us. It's a rampaging kind of chaotic world full of turmoil and swept around, full of all the fears around us. So what we need to do is really we've got to create such a powerful state of awareness. And we can do this in a way through affirmations. And there's this is a quite a big topic in a way, but I think you can get the gist of it in a particular way, that there's three forms of self-belief and self-statement, positive statement that we can use. And these are really connected to kind of belief systems, our belief systems and our sense of awareness. And this is the I am, I can, and I will. Now, these are very simple, very, very simple. And these three levels of affirmation will change. They'll help us to take control of our mind and help us reclaim our personal power. Very simply, what we're doing is we're telling our mind, as I mentioned earlier, we're telling our subconscious mind who we are. Do you remember at school, that you constantly saying, you're a good boy, you're a good girl. And you sat there and went, I'm a good boy, I'm a good girl. And you're all the opposite. You're not very clever. And you go, I'm not very clever. You're not good. And you go, and of course, by saying you believe it, you take this on board. And this is really what happens with our consciousness. We can now change it. We can work with positivity, with spiritual truth. and not only find out who we really are, but what we're going to do as well in that particular way. So the three forms are these three forms. Maybe maybe I put a bit of music on. Maybe I'll just put a bit. Is that okay? I'll put a little bit on so we can kind of experience these as well. And we can begin to see, like, for example, the I am, and you can begin to see how you can use this so simply. These are very simple affirmations. I don't think you really need great streams of consciousness. You know, people say, I can't remember the meditation. I just can't remember it, Jim. I just can't remember it. I can't, it's too many words. These are very simple. The mind just needs one or two things. That's all it does. Very simply. It's like you go to school. You don't go and read Einstein or works of Shakespeare to small junior children, do you? And so our mind is like this. It's very, very tender, very receptive. So very simply talk to ourselves in a very simple way. You know, the I am is about reforming our identity. I am peaceful. I am able. I am loving. I am spiritual and eternal. I am loved by God. And you can make your own, can you do your own list, all the I ams in this particular way. You're talking about your strengths, your qualities. So meditation is about self-healing. It's about creating your own self-worth and self-esteem. No one else can do it. It doesn't happen just sitting there. It's about re-educating yourself. As we said in a minute, we are re-educating. Again, we're reforming or repatterning the old negative states through these positive self-scripts. The I can. We're telling ourselves, you have the ability. And so often, isn't it, we've been told you're not good enough. You're not as good as your sister. You're not as good as your brother. Or you're bottom of the class. You're no good. I mean, you kind of, these are the songs that we hear everywhere, isn't it? At school, at home, parents, unfortunately. Even the religions tell you, oh, you're sinners. Oh, you can't, you're going to... And immediately kind of, it compounds our kind of feeling of low self-worth and self-esteem. But meditate, we let go, relinquish all this stuff. Let go of it. Just go in and you become your own teacher. You become your own healer. You become your own guide in that particular way. So we can say, I can improve. I can be strong. I can stop smoking. Don't stand near the fire. I can be assertive. I can succeed, and so on. You can begin to see, can't you? You can create areas that you need to work on for yourself in that particular way. And it's like creating that sense of you immediately feel good. Isn't that, do you feel good when you say that? Do you feel this is about, we're repeating and repeat. It's like, like again, going back to schools, this is how they teach children, isn't it? Repetition, and it sticks. You repeat kind of learning, which unfortunately a lot in schools they don't do today. Just give them a laptop or whatever. Third one is I will. And this is about creating determination and belief, that often has been shattered through our experiences. And it says, I will manage my time better. I will. I will face my fears courageously today. I will be positive and kind. I will ask my boss for a rise. I will make my life better. I will make my life what I want it to be. And so you're creating this kind of energy field, this cocoon of power, this cocoon of self-expression and self-belief in that particular way. So we're re-educating, changing the old negative beliefs, changing our subconscious nature in this particular way. So these are old beliefs lying very deep within our subconscious nature. So it's quite important when we do them to do it with feeling, do it so not superficially, not to do it in the sense of just saying it. Often you hear this, I'm peaceful, and it's kind of like a surface. It's just there in the head. But we need to bring the head and the heart together and feel it. Feel that. I can succeed. And you can bring them together. You can integrate them. It maybe create little affirmations for yourself in that particular way. You could, for example, you could say that you can do the three together, one from each. You do one a day, couldn't you? That I am able and capable. I can be assertive. And I will face my fears courageously. And just say it a few times. Feel it in that particular way. Give yourself that kind of experience and in that kind of energy.
Thank you so much, Jim. So we will now be ending the session with a meditation.
So let's start with a short affirmation. I'm a living spiritual energy, a light point, a star point of pure awareness. My true nature is of love. And so now, let us address our fears. I realize that my fears are mostly imaginary. They are paper tigers. Facing them, they disappear. I now understand that nothing can affect me unless I let them. I face these and the world with courage. Courage and understanding and God's support. All is well. Everything is working out for the highest good, for my highest good, and I am safe. The past. What has occurred was a scene in life's great play of life. It is now past. I'm in a different space. I am focused. I'm focused on what I have to do now. I forgive all individuals. I forget all situations. I let everything go. Identity. I am beautiful. I am able and capable. I like myself just the way I am. I don't have to prove myself worthy of anything at all. I don't have to prove to anyone because I am constantly growing, evolving, and creating a wonderful version of myself. Influences. I'm centered, protected in the light center of my natural nature. My inner eye of wisdom enables me to understand what others are going through, that others are under external influences. influences of the external world. My awareness is centered in spiritual truth. And I realize the things I need, that I really need, are subtle and spiritual. I'm free. Om Shanti.